Okay, so here's an odd question, especially during like times of national elections or things where politics might be really in the news. And a lot of times people ask these questions. They don't want to ask it specifically like that, like, do you support candidate X? But they might just say, hey, did you see the debate last night? Or what do you think of this candidate? They're kind of fishing a little bit to get your point of view. And the thing with that is, it has nothing to do with the job, once again, unless you're maybe going to go work for a particular political party. That's a different thing, I suppose. But 99.9% of the time, when you're going to be an accountant, sales, technical person, engineer, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what your political beliefs are, if you have any at all, right? But to some people who are hiring, it's very important to them. It's a very important part of their life. So they might be asking just out of curiosity, maybe it's even small talky stuff. Hey, did you see this thing in the news? Or did you believe what that candidate said? And it's just this little small thing. Others would be like, no, I like to hire people who have the same beliefs as me. Once again, it's all about the job and the specifics of the job. You want to turn it around towards that. But if somebody says, hey, did you see the debate last night? You could say something just generic like, no, I didn't watch the debate last night. I was out with my family. We were at the restaurant. That's what I did. And then try to move on from there. Or if you did see it, say, yeah, I saw it. Boy, it was a lot of fireworks at that debate. It seemed pretty interesting. And then just leave it at that. And they might ask you more specifics about a candidate. I tend to try to avoid it and say, oh, I was with my family or I was doing this or whatever. If they're asking about specific political parties or causes that you support, there's something that's part of your background. Maybe it's in your resume or CV where you've been active in a certain cause. Yeah, it's there. You want to talk about it. That's perfectly fine. But understand that people might have a different viewpoint of it. It's better just to be neutral. I'm just telling you, as far as getting a job offer, whether you go work for the organization, that's a different thing maybe, or that particular person. But as far as you want to get job offers and you don't want to have anything that could be an obstacle to that would be my advice on that. No matter how passionate you might be for a particular political party or candidate, for example. So leave your big candidate buttons at home, as far as when you're doing a job interview, of course. With this question, if they're real persistent on it, just say, you know what, either if you don't follow it closely, that's okay too. They might think, oh, okay, doesn't follow closely. Or just say, you know what, I have some, I kind of middle of the road, or you might say, I'm like, well, I have some beliefs around politics and stuff, but, it doesn't really relate to the job, and I don't want to, jeopardize my candidacy because, I might be, leaning one way or another as far as a party or something. And leaving it something like that, somebody who's really interested might press you or think, well, why are you so defensive? And just say, like, look, if I don't want to, just say it out loud. Like, if I say I'm for candidate X and you hate candidate X, you may think less of me, and I don't want it to be that way. I want to be about the job because I know I can do a great job with this job, and I really want to contribute to the organization. And really, be honest with the folks is always fine, too. But a lot of times these kind of questions are more along small talk, or you walk in the office and they got pictures of them with a candidate or whatever. You can talk about that. My boss in particular, I've worked with I work with bosses who are hard on one candidate and hard on another and very active all through my career. And they've never really known what my political views or leanings are at all because it's not part of the job. So same kind of thing with all these questions, not part of the job. Let's focus on the job. Try to brush it aside or just say, yeah, I saw this or I didn't see it, or those kind of things I even haven't thought much about, or I keep it private and then move on from there. So it's all about, let's get back and focused and more talk about the job itself and how I can help your organization and learn more about me and how I fit in your organization.